All right, what's going on, everyone? This is Aiden Wood, mix and mastering here, and today I'm back with another video where we'll be looking at how to make and find space within your mix. So this is something that's really key when we're done producing our song, we're beginning our mix down, we're looking at what to do next. We're gonna want to start looking to make space for all the elements, our vocals, our synths, our bass, our drums. We want to make sure everything is sitting properly with one another. We don't want things to be clashing. We want things to be the right level, which is part of it. But today, specifically, what we're going to be looking for and looking at is making space within the frequency spectrum. So there's two kind of ways to look at it. So here we have a frequency spectrum diagram here. And the main thing we're thinking about is looking for space within here. So if I, for example, had a bass line going and it was taking up, everywhere from like 40 hertz to maybe it's sort of subby with a little bit of the low mid, so it's within like the 500, taking up the 500 range. This is something that I want to keep in mind when I'm mixing, because with other things, I'm going to want to make sure that our bass isn't interfering with it, that things have the right space they need to sound clear and audible within the mix. For example, if I now have a synth that is playing, at a pretty low frequency, maybe it's playing in the like 150 to 1K range, we can see here that it's making a very clear clash. What we're doing here is we're looking at this visually, and this is a helpful tool, but the main thing we want to be doing is when we're done and we're ready for our mix down, we want to be using our ears to listen for clashes. So let's say our bass and our synth are playing here and they sound fine together. Maybe they're playing at separate times. There's no clash going on. That's totally okay. We don't have to do any form of cleaning up this area here. But if these things are playing at the same time, maybe the synth is doesn't even have this like 500 to 1K, maybe it's super low, like a low organ. We're going to want to make sure things are kind of carved around one another. So today what we're going to look at is cleaning up our mix within the frequency spectrum. I'm going to do another one later on how to do that with the stereo field, which is going to be a second video. But today we're going to look at how we can clean up any clashes like this that we hear within our mix, so that we can make sure that our mix is audible, everything is really clear, and that our synths, our bass, our vocals, our drums, all these things are working together in a cohesive manner. Okay, so now we're on our project file. Let's just listen quickly to what we have here. So it's a cool idea, but there's clearly some issues going on when we're listening to this. So what I'm first going to listen is to our low. We can start in the lower part of the frequency spectrum and work our way up. I'm hearing a little bit of mud in our low end here. So if we listen to our bass line, and now we listen to our full loop, the thing I would normally advise is you're almost always going to have your kicks separate. I'm not usually one to use full loops, but when you do have your kicks separate, this is a matter of just cleaning up our low end. We're going to look at maybe adjusting the side chain between our kick and our bass. We're going to look at any frequencies that might be clashing in a weird way. We want to be taking those things into account, because that is where we're going to clean up our low end. So if we can do it here, we're going to listen to... So there's, in my opinion, still a little bit of interference going on between that kick and the bass here. So the tool that we're going to use to create a little bit of space within our mix is called Trackspacer. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can carve certain sounds that are clashing between one another. You can use an EQ, just a standard one. You can use a dynamic EQ. You can use Soothe. That's a really cool tool for that. But Trackspacer is a really great tool for this because it's very visual. It's super easy to use. I think it costs like $50, $60 or something. So maybe look for a time when it's at a discount. But this is a really powerful tool for creating space within our mix. I'll show you guys how it works. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to think about which sound do we want to make a little bit more clear. So in this case, I want to make my bass line a little bit more clear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to our drums, which is interfering with it a bit. I'm gonna route the bass line into this. And so now whenever the bass line plays, our track spacer here is gonna duck the drums out of the way. And so we wanna be careful because this is gonna interfere with our kick a little bit. And so we can adjust accordingly. But the way I'm doing this is I'm gonna use this mount button here, and I'm going to have it change accordingly. Hey guys, really quickly, I'm just editing this video right now, but I wanted to add that the way track spacer works, it's not just ducking the volume of the overall channel, it's picking the frequencies. And so I know I dive into it a little bit when I start to use the low cut and high cut a bit later, but the way that track spacer works is it's ducking the specific frequencies that are being played by the channel that's rooted into it. So it's not just, a classic side chain, it's doing it very frequency specific, which is why it's such a powerful tool. So just wanted to add that quickly. So let's listen to it here. We can start turning it up. So we can't do it all the way, right? This is when it's fully ducked. We want to start dialing it back. I think that sounded a little bit better. Maybe just give it a little bit more. So now if we listen without it, and with, you can hear the bass line a lot more clear. The kick still has its space it needs to get through, but I'm creating the space for the bass so that I can hear it a little bit more clearly. And again, we can use things like the low cut. Like if we have just mud only in the 100 hertz up and we don't want the kick involved, like we can bring our low cut up here. I think that's actually helping a lot. Yeah, like that sounds really clean now. And so that way our kick is still shining through. It was still shining through before. This helps it get out even more is when you low cut it in this case. But if we listen without, and we listen with, just like night and day difference between being able to hear our kick and understand our kick and our bass line together, and for it to translate into the big speakers, our headphones, whatever it is, so that our low end is full and pumping. So again, this is a really great way to look for space within our mix, is using this tool track spacer. Like I mentioned, there's other ways to do this, but let's look to see if there's any other sort of ways and parts of the song that might be clashing. So if I listen to my drums and my note here, for example, these sound pretty good. And we can look at why that is. Why do these sound good together? First, I'm going to take out these lows actually. We can listen to this with the bass line. Let's look at it with their EQ. And so we might think, hey, maybe there's some clash between our 100 to 400. Maybe it's happening because, our stab here is between the 100 and 1K hertz mostly. But if you use your ears, there's not a clash going on there. Like, you can really tell the difference between them. These things aren't clashing in a way that causes phasing or unclearness to the ear. It's a very clear and obvious sound between the two there. And so this is what I mean about using these visual tools like we used at the beginning. But diagnose any issues in your mix using your ears, because you only want to solve the problems of what you can hear. For the most part, you're not going to have problems that are purely visual based unless it's like some weird phasing thing that somehow you don't hear. But for the most part, when you're doing your mix down and you're listening for clashes, use your ears, because you can't just rely on a visual frequency spectrum. You need to use your ears so you can hear what's clashing. And that way you can fix and make space for what you need to. So yeah, guys, this has been sort of a quicker video here, but I just wanted to show how powerful it can be to look and listen for issues within your mix. So again, like I mentioned, we're going to listen for the problems. We're going to diagnose them with the tools that we have. We have Wave Spacer in this case, the Track Spacer, sorry. And yeah, we're going to use a little bit of visual to understand things in terms of what could be. So like I mentioned before, we did our little whiteboard thing there. But listening and using tools that we have to fix these things is how we're going to get clean and nice mix downs. So yeah, guys, thank you for watching. This has been Aiden Wood, Mix and Mastering here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.